Hello there, this is Benny.
And this is Kyle.
And you're listening to The Doctor's Watcher,
the Horse Lovers podcast about every episode of Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, we're just a couple of horse guys, horse girls who are guys.
Yeah, I thought about, I wasn't sure if there's like a male version of horse girls term, so I just went with horse lovers.
Yep. I remember seeing somebody tweeted this picture once of like some horse magazine, and the headline on the cover page was something like "Horses, the world's most beautiful animal" or something like that. And I was like, all right, bold claim, but I guess you're playing to your audience there.
Nice.
So yeah, we love horses around here. In fact, if we ever see any, we just feel compelled to bring them inside.
Yeah, totally. If I were to see like a giant wooden horse just out on the plains, I would totally roll it right into my city.
The great horse of Asia, I believe, or any great horse, and also because we're horse lovers, any horse can be a great horse.
It's true. It doesn't even have to be 50 feet tall and made of wood.
Yes, all horses are great.
Indeed.
Just like all cats are beautiful.
A hag.
Let's see if we can get that to catch on. Well, Kyle, how's it going? What have you been up to?
Doing all right. I actually was playing a little bit of Hades the other day. I figured since we're still here in the Trojan Greek times, maybe we do another quick little Hades update.
I mean, so, that's going to happen regardless of what times we're in.
That's true.
Hades are, just video games in general. What have we been playing?
But yeah, I was playing some Hades the other day. I actually haven't played it as much recently since the last time we talked about it, when I had turned off God mode and was thinking about turning off the Pact of Punishment to make things a bit easier. So I have played a few more times, and I did turn off the Pact of Punishment, and with that off, I did manage to make it to the final boss, but still have not actually won a game.
It's hard.
Yeah.
That final boss is, not... I mean, I don't know how many people care about Hades spoilers at this point, but yeah. Yeah, and everything you have to go through to get to the final boss, and by the time you get there, I don't know how many death defies you have left, or how high your HP is, or yeah.
But yeah, I'm thinking that I might end up turning God mode back on. I might give it a few more runs, because I don't think I've done every weapon with God mode off yet, but I'm thinking I might turn it back on.
Yeah, I turned it on, and no regrets so far. I haven't played a whole lot since I turned it on, but yeah, I think it was a good choice.
Yeah. Also, the thing with Pact of Punishment is that, having it off, you're not really progressing, character-wise. You're still progressing, in the meta-game story and stuff, but in terms of, the character getting stronger and, earning more rewards and stuff, it kind of hampers your progression to not be doing Pact of Punishment. So
that makes sense. Another thing that happened recently is the first episode of Picard Season 3 came out. This is, of course, the season where they're bringing back all the characters from the Next Generation for one last final hurrah.
Indeed.
Up until they decide to make a movie. But of course, by the time this comes out, I don't know, the season will probably be over. But
probably, yeah.
We've only seen one episode, but so far so good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. I was not completely blown away or anything, but I was also not disappointed, and I was kind of slightly expecting to be at least a little bit disappointed. So I was pretty happy with it. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's still early days.
Yeah, for sure.
But when this comes out, I might be listening to this again and being like, "Oh boy, no," that optimism. Or I might be like, "Yeah, it was pretty good." Yeah, I think I've managed to keep my expectations relatively in check, but but they're starting to go up. Like I read, your partner and I were talking, I think about a week ago, and she mentioned a Trek Core spoiler-free review that you had read, and then she recommended that I read it too, and I did, and that got my hopes up. So
that article got my hopes up too. I keep reminding myself that the reviewer had only seen 6 episodes.
Yeah, who knows?
So who knows how the end of the season goes?
Where they land it, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, so far so good. Speaking of so far so good, that might be what the Doctor and Odysseus are thinking to themselves as they're inside the Trojan Horse getting wheeled into Troy. And that was our cliffhanger. Hey, I managed to somehow fold that into our transition. We're doing this all out of order.
Yeah.
Kyle, how'd you watch it?
So, as you might expect from the past few episodes of this How'd You Watch It segment, I did, in fact, watch this one as a loose cannon reconstruction. I learned from the archive.org archive of the loose cannon website that I mentioned to you all recently, that there actually are no telesnaps of this serial. So, there are other like on-set photos that were taken, either by the production staff for design or costume reference, or, there may have been like press photos and stuff, but there weren't actually any telesnaps. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I suspect that was a pretty rough experience. Like there's something on your screen right now, and it may or may not have anything to do with what's happening in the episode at this point.
Loose Cannon did a pretty good job, though, I will say, with this serial overall.
For what they had to work with, I imagine. Yeah,
definitely. Obviously we all would prefer, and I'm sure even Loose Cannon would prefer to have the original episodes still existing, but yeah, I was pretty happy with it, actually.
Cool.
By the way, since we're doing this all out of order, we have not yet mentioned that this is Horse of Destruction, the 9th episode of season 3.
Heck yeah. Horse of Destruction. Now that would be a good band. I mean, maybe, what was it? Dravins from Galaxy 4, maybe, or whatever the band name was that we came up with before. They can open for Horse of Destruction. Yeah,
I think that sounds like that would be appropriate rather than Horse of Destruction opening for the Dravins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever that band was. Anyway, we only move ahead in this podcast.
No looking back, except for the Cliffhanger.
Yes, which I've already done. Did it all out of order.
Oh, hi, Matilda. So we pick up this episode basically where we left off. Cassandra is talking about what an idiot Paris is for bringing the horse into the city.
Mm-hmm.
And Paris is talking about how cool this fucking awesome horse is.
Hell yeah.
And how wrong Cassandra was about that cool temple that he found on the plains a few episodes ago and had brought into the city. The TARDIS, of course.
Mm-hmm.
He says that this temple has only brought them luck because ever since they brought it and ever since Vicky, a.k.a. Cressida, showed up, like, all the Greeks left. They sailed away. So
Yep. I see no flaws in this logic.
It's, it's odd that this horse showed up, but, like, it's a cool-ass horse.
Hell yeah. It's a great horse. Of Asia.
Vicky, meanwhile, is freeing Stephen, a.k.a. Diomede, from the dungeons.
Cool. I'm glad somebody remembered him.
Yeah. We cut briefly to the Doctor and Odysseus, who, as you mentioned, are inside the horse. They're having a chat with each other, and the Doctor wishes that Odysseus had given him like one more day to build the horse so he could have like fit shock absorbers onto it. Apparently it's been a pretty rough ride.
Amazing.
He's like,
shock absorbers, maybe some bucket seats,
right.
A good sound system.
One more day we could have had the crew from Pimp My Horse in here. Could have been great. We cut up to the palace balcony where Paris, Cassandra, and Priam are all watching the horse basically, get put into place in the city.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more rough-hewn than I had expected. Well, since it's here, we'd better take a closer look.
How close a look do you want to take there, y'all?
They're like, yeah, clearly this horse wasn't on Pimp My Horse.
Looks more like something someone built in Minecraft, if I remember right.
Pretty much, yeah. Vicky and Steven are out of the dungeon now. They're out in the crowds on the city streets to try to get a look at the great horse. Steven's like,
turn it up. We sure don't have anything like that in Alabama. No, sir.
Yeah, that'll always work on me, Kyle.
They're like ducking and hiding to, try to avoid being seen or caught, since Steven is basically an escaped prisoner at this point, and Vicky is the one who let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky ends up spotting one of Cassandra's handmaidens in the crowd, Katrina. And Katrina is moving through the crowd looking for her. And Steven basically encourages Vicky to go to Katrina. He says that the Trojans still trust her. And if she cares about Troilus, who was, the hot young son of King Priam,
mm-hmm.
if she cares about Troilus, she should basically go tell him to get out of the city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good advice.
Yeah, he's a hot young Trojan soldier, so his time in this world would probably not be for long if he were to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
We cut back to the palace where Troilus has discovered that Stephen, a.k.a. Diomede, is missing.
Oh, buddy, your girlfriend let him out.
Yeah, he's gone down. The cell that they were keeping him is empty. Cassandra, of course, immediately suspects Vicky, which, she's correct.
She tends to be.
And Vicky happens to turn up just then. They ask her if she freed Diomede, but the conversation kind of gets sidetracked a little bit, and she never actually directly answers that question. Although she does insist again that she's not a sorceress, which, is also true.
Mm-hmm.
Cassandra basically orders her handmaiden Katrina to stay with Vicky, or, Cressida, I guess.
Cool. Add a quick NPC to our party here.
We cut back to inside the horse, where the doctor is getting pretty worked up. He kind of seems like maybe a bit claustrophobic, and he really wants Odysseus to let him out. But, of course, Odysseus won't, because that would ruin the whole plan, obviously.
Can you imagine how that would look? He's just like, oh, no, excuse me. Just don't mind me. Just stretching my legs.
I'm just an old man. I'm a traveler who happened to be passing through this horse.
Oh man, it's been days since that horse gobbled me up. Let me tell you, this horse needs to eat more fiber.
It makes me wonder where the exit to the horse is.
We know where the exit to the horse is, Kyle. We know.
Odysseus talks about how nice it would be if either Agamemnon or Achilles were to die in battle, because that would mean more spoils for Odysseus.
Oh yeah, I guess Achilles didn't suffer his whole heel thing yet.
Yeah, not yet.
I'll put a pin in that, I guess. And maybe someone will put a pin in Achilles' heel.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the doctor thinks that this is pretty shitty.
That is a most immoral way of looking at life.
Nonsense. It's the reason that I've been here for 10 long years, fighting all the time.
I mean, I guess I've played enough D&D that I can't really blame him.
Yeah.
We're all just in it for the loot.
And, if a few NPC party members happen to die and the loot gets divided into fewer piles, then so be it.
Yeah, man. What player is going to want to divide loot with NPCs?
Eventually, Odysseus basically tells the doctor that if he doesn't shut up, he'll kill him, and the doctor shuts up.
It seems like the wise choice.
Yeah. They are supposed to be, being quiet in the horse until, they all attack the city, so... Mm-hmm. Troilus comes to visit Vicky in the palace. He waits until Katrina has fallen asleep, basically, and Vicky urges him to leave the city. She tells him to go look for Diomede. He's confused at first. He's pretty worried that she's in love with Diomede. He's wondering, why do you want me to go find him? Mm-hmm. And he thinks that maybe she's in love with him. But when she says that, he's just a friend, she promises he's just a friend, then Troilus is confused why she wants him to be captured.
To be a prisoner of war is considered very bad form.
It's just not done. One is generally encouraged to avoid it, in fact.
She basically tells Troilus that she wants him to capture his own prisoner so everyone will respect him as a warrior. Remember, he's like a 16 or 17-year-old kid, essentially. And, she claims that, she wants him to capture a prisoner so he can, earn this respect and whatnot.
That's a pretty good excuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
She tells him that Diomede is unarmed and that he won't hurt him. So Troilus is still kind of unsure, but he did actually promise her that he would do anything for her. So he leaves the city.
She's got you there, bud.
Once night falls, the Greeks all quietly leave the horse. A couple of Trojan guards in the area get silently killed, right away, basically.
Dang. All right.
The Greeks are able to remain hidden while they sneak up behind him, and if you're hidden and you're in sneak mode when you do an attack, it's an automatic critical. So
that's true. You get the little icon over their head, and you just gotta push the corresponding button, and then you get a cool little animation of silent kill.
Yeah. So these two guards go down immediately, and Odysseus is pretty excited about this. He tells the doctor that it looks like this plan's going to work. Out on the plains, Troilus is shouting for Diomede, but he ends up finding Achilles, who tells him that Diomede's long dead. Remember, of course, Stephen is...
Oh, right, because the actual Diomede is dead.
Yeah, Stephen's using the name and armor of Achilles' actually dead friend. Or maybe it was Odysseus' friend, I don't remember. But yeah, there was actually a soldier named Diomede who is long dead. Mm-hmm. Achilles and Troilus basically insult each other for a minute and then get down to sword fighting. We get lots of, repetitive, I guess, not telesnapshots. I wrote that in my notes, but that's wrong. We get lots of repetitive imagery of sword fighting.
Not even telesnaps, shaking my head.
Uh-huh. Eventually, Achilles apparently slips. I'm narrating this action based on, the transcript of the episode and, the loose cannon reconstruction, so unclear exactly what happens, but Achilles apparently slips, and Troilus gets a fatal blow in, but as Achilles dies, he stabs Troilus.
Dang. I've been playing some Hellish Court lately, which is this sword fighting game that's currently in early access, and man, it's easy to kill each other in that game. a lot of draws if you don't turn on the right of way rule.
Nice.
So was the heel involved in this at all, or did we not bother, or we don't know?
Not as far as I could tell.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed to be just a non-heel involved kill.
Gotcha.
Meanwhile, back in the city, some Greeks from the Horse go and open the city gates, and of course, all the Greeks from the ships that had previously left and sailed back under the guise of night pour in through the open city gates.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to the palace where Priam and Cassandra can hear sounds of commotion and shouting and screaming and everything outside.
I hope Cassandra gets an opportunity to say, I told you so, before it's too late.
Paris bursts into the room, tells them what happened, and Cassandra does get this opportunity.
Excellent.
And none of you would listen to me.
I mean, it's not going to do anyone any good at this point, but I hope she got some satisfaction out of that.
Yeah, totally.
You're listening to The Doctor's Watcher. If you enjoy our show, please leave us a 5-star review and tell a friend. We appreciate you, listener. You can reach us by tweeting at Dr. Watcher or emailing thedoctorswatcher@gmail.com. And now, back to the episode.
And just then, Odysseus bursts into the room and, of course, orders his soldiers to kill them. Vicky and the Doctor reunite outside the TARDIS, in the Trojan city streets.
Mm-hmm.
She urgently wants to talk to the Doctor. She basically sends Katrina to go get Steven. She tells Katrina, where Steven is hiding, basically, and, go get him and bring him here.
Mm-hmm.
The Doctor says that they should all three go look for Steven, but Vicky, basically repeats that she really needs to speak to the Doctor. So Katrina heads off, and the two of them go into the TARDIS. Meanwhile, Steven is fighting a Trojan soldier.
Dang, all right.
The Trojan actually, stabs Steven in the shoulder.
Oh, dang, okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
and
man.
He's just about to...
I think this might be the most violent injury one of our heroes has actually sustained so far.
Yeah, I think it might be actually the most intense PC injury.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some sprained ankles and stuff, but and Ian got paralyzer raid by the Daleks. But yeah, I don't think anyone's ever been stabbed before.
Yeah, the paralyzer ray was pretty temporary.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gets stabbed in the shoulder. And the Trojan is actually just about to kill him when a Greek soldier happens to show up and basically kills the Trojan and saves Steven's life.
That's lucky.
Katrina shows up at this point. She finds Steven and she tells him that Cressida sent her to find him and take him to the temple.
And he's like, wait, hold on, I need to remember what this all means.
He's pretty weak from blood loss. He's having a hard time standing and walking. So Katrina has to support him and help him off screen, basically.
All right, hold on, Kyle. Before we move on, that makes it the Katrivan?
Yeah. Let's see, Steve Trina. I think it's Katrivan.
Katrivan. Yeah, I like that.
We cut back to the TARDIS, where Vicky walks out of the TARDIS. This was actually 2 or 3 seconds of actual video of the real episode.
Wow, that must have been glorious. You must have been so relieved to see some moving images on your screen.
I'm pretty sure it was from, I mentioned in a previous episode, some fan of Doctor Who had pointed their home video recorder at their TV. So.
And they captured 3 seconds of footage? How bad was this video recorder?
So we see Vicky leave the TARDIS. She looks a bit sad, and she actually hugs the TARDIS and then walks off screen.
Huh.
And the doctor
so
kind
she
of
talked to the doctor about something and we don't know what it was.
Right.
And now Vicky's hugging the TARDIS goodbye? Question mark.
And yeah, the doctor like pokes his head out of the TARDIS door and like watches her walk away, basically.
Kyle's being real stony faced right now. He's definitely not answering my question.
We cut back to the palace, where Paris and Priam are apparently dead now, and Odysseus's soldiers are taking Cassandra away. Odysseus is apparently planning on presenting her as a personal gift to Agamemnon, but she curses him before she goes.
Yeah, fair.
10 long years we fought you, Odysseus, and 10 long years it'll be before you see your home again.
Nice. Well, I mean, it worked in the original source material, but we've seen how things sometimes go a little different in the Doctor Who-niverse. I don't know if that's what people actually call it, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Might take him a couple months at least to get back to Ithaca, or maybe 10 years.
Cassandra doesn't mention whether the story of his return will, become a bestseller for an author than Homer. So the Katrevan ship sails back to the TARDIS, with Katrina at the helm, basically. Stephen is not doing a whole lot at the moment. And the Doctor basically has Katrina help Stephen inside of the TARDIS and get him, laid out on a couch. Odysseus, meanwhile, shows up outside the TARDIS and tries telling the Doctor that he's claiming the temple as part of his spoils of war.
Okay.
Yeah, the Doctor, of course, is not going to stand for this.
Now you stand back. I've gone far enough with you, my Lord Odysseus. You go adventuring on your own. Be off and all.
I half expected the Doctor to just sort of laugh and be like, that's nice. Sure. Good luck with that. Have fun.
Odysseus orders his men to go find a cart to take the TARDIS away. He's seen the Marco Polo serial, so he knows the best way to move the TARDIS around is on a cart.
Yep, he's right.
But the Doctor just heads into the TARDIS, shuts the door, and then the TARDIS dematerializes.
Oh, dang. So we just left without Vicky then, for reals.
Yep, for reals. Which leaves Odysseus to wonder.
Zeus! I wonder. Were you really Zeus? After all.
Close enough. I mean, Zeus wishes.
Out on the plains, Troilus is watching the city of Troy burning on the horizon as he shakes his fist to the sky and yells, "Dennis!
Dennis!"
I mean, he actually yells, "Cressida!"
Well, I think he'll do slightly better with that one.
He, of course, now thinks that Cressida betrayed them, after this whole horse thing went down.
No, I hope he changes his mind pretty quick, because Vicky's coming, I think.
Yeah, she actually shows up, just then. And
just as he's cursing her name, and she's like, oh,
hang on a sec.
Maybe I should have gotten on the TARDIS after all.
She basically explains to him that, no, in fact, she did not actually betray him. And she actually stayed behind to make sure that he knew that she didn't betray him.
Because she cares. She cares what he thinks.
She explains that Diomede left with another friend of theirs that Troilus never met. And maybe she'll explain more someday, but it's just the two of them now. He wonders what they're going to do. And then they see his cousin Aeneas approaching on the plains. And basically Vicky says that cousin Aeneas can help out, and together they can build a new Troy, and she and Troilus start making out.
Nice.
So yeah, the Cressidoilus ship, I don't remember what we called it, Troyada.
I like Cressidoilus.
The Cressidoilus ship is officially at sea and on its journeys.
Well, I was wondering how far they were going to take the whole Troilus and Cressida thing because, like, yeah, if she'd just left with the doctor, it'd be like, oh, that was kind of a thing for 5 minutes, you know?
Uh-huh.
But no, looks like they committed to it.
Yeah. We cut back to the TARDIS interior, where it seems like things are not really going too great. Stephen is apparently delirious with his wound, and he seems to be getting worse. The doctor needs to find help for Stephen, but he's not really sure of where to go to find this help. And through this conversation or through this scene, it basically becomes clear that Katrina thinks that she's dead.
I was going to ask, is she still on board?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I guess she's coming along.
My dear child, you're not dead. That's nonsense.
This is not Troy. This is not even the world. This is the journey through the beyond.
Well, kind of is, yeah.
Uh-huh. Apparently, in a scene that was deleted, or, you know, cut from the episode or whatever, I read that she, like, was told, I don't know if it was by Cassandra or by some other augury or whatever, but she was apparently told that she would die soon. So the doctor has to explain to the delirious Stephen that this is not actually Vicky, and Vicky wanted to stay behind, and that he knows that she'll be okay. But, you know, it's not really clear exactly how much of this explanation Stephen hears or understands. He's pretty out of it. As the doctor tells Katrina that he's not a god, and he starts looking around for some drugs to give Stephen, the words, "Next episode, the nightmare begins," appear on screen.
Oh, dang. Okay. Well, that's promising. Definitely promising something.
Uh-huh.
So, Katrina, we have a new companion, maybe. Well, I guess we'll see how long she sticks around.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Vicky's out and Katrina's in.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I don't think we'd even seen Katrina before this episode, right?
I don't think so. It's possible she was in a previous episode and I just didn't mention her because she didn't really impact the story, but I'm pretty sure that we didn't see her until this episode.
I feel like that with the whole Troilus and Cressida thing, they must have been planning to remove Vicky from the party all along, so you'd think they might have worked a little harder to build up our next companion.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
Yeah, and you know, I guess Vicky has always been sort of the replacement Susan in a lot of ways.
Uh-huh.
And similar to Susan, she ends up leaving the adventuring party to spend the rest of her life, in Vicky's case, like centuries in the past, with a guy that she's barely met.
Uh-huh.
But at least this time it was her decision rather than the doctor like forcing her out like he did with Susan.
Yeah, I do prefer that. I mean, we didn't really get much of a scene as viewers to say goodbye to Vicky because her conversation with the doctor took place entirely off screen, it seems.
Yeah.
But at least we got to see her smooching Troilus, so
yeah,
that should hopefully bode well for the future, I think.
Yeah, and you know, she basically the whole time that she's been on the show, like ever since the doctor first met her, she has been without a home, you know. Like her family all died as they were leaving or, you know, emigrating away from their home planet. So this, in one sense, it might feel kind of rushed and like not necessarily the best decision, but I am glad that like she now definitively has a time and place to call home again.
Yeah. It is. It's this interesting thought of like, would you rather be left in far future post-Dalek occupation Earth, where the humans have regained control of their planet and are rebuilding, or in the past, where the Trojans, having just recently lost Troy, are about to go and found a new city? I think Rome is the one that they canonically found. In the Aeneid, I think that's what they go and found is Rome.
Yeah, I'm
mark?
Not entirely sure. I don't know.
Man, it's been a while
history at all.
Since I was a lit major. Here, let me record 2 voice lines, and I'll leave in the one that's correct. Yes, they found Rome in the Aeneid. All right, whichever one was right, I'll leave in.
Listeners, you will never know that we did this.
You might. I might leave in this discussion of it. or else it'll make no sense whatsoever.
I did read a little bit about, I guess, Maureen O'Brien's departure, the actress who played Vicky. Mm-hmm. And what I read about that from, the real world point of view is actually kind of shitty.
I was a little worried about that, considering she wasn't on the show very long at all.
I guess the show had basically just changed producers, and this serial, The Mythmakers, by the way, I don't think we've mentioned the name of the serial itself yet, but it's The Mythmakers.
Listeners, we are making myths.
This was the first serial produced by the new producer, John Wiles, but he had shadowed the show's original producer, Verity Lambert, during Galaxy 4. And I guess during that serial, Maureen O'Brien had lots of snarky comments to make about the script. And John Wiles apparently decided that he didn't like her and didn't want her around. So while the cast all got the week off for Mission to the Unknown, he arranged to have her replaced.
Dang.
Yeah.
What a fragile freaking ego.
Right?
Like, was he even the writer on that? Or even, I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. But yeah, like, let someone snark, dude. They're not harming anyone.
Yeah, seriously.
Especially if they've been on the show so much longer than you. Like, they've earned it. Come on. I mean, I don't know what she was saying. I guess maybe she was being super shitty, but I kind of doubt it. I don't know.
I think
don't know the details.
One thing that I read that she said was that it's not Shakespeare, which is 100% correct and true. That it is not Shakespeare.
If that was her level of snark, I'm back firmly on her side.
So yeah, like that all sucks and makes me not like John Wiles. But
agreed. I
do have to say that disliking the producer and or showrunner is a time-honored Doctor Who viewing tradition.
Yeah. What was his name? Stephen Moffat in the modern era, the one everyone hates? Or maybe there were others as well. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, so this is the end of the serial. Kyle, the Mythmakers, we have made our myths. The myths are now fully made. So that leads us to the question, would you recommend it to our listeners?
So I will say that this serial was pretty fun. The fact that all 4 episodes are missing does make it, a bit rough of a viewing experience. But, like I said, Loose Cannon did a great job with what they had. The plot is pretty entertaining, though, I thought. It's rather historical, which I was getting a bit bored with, a little while ago. But instead of just being like, let's go meet some history people, the Doctor actually gets to influence history here and gives Odysseus the idea for the Trojan Horse. And
we have wondered, if we can change history on Doctor Who, and it sounds like we proved it.
I do, really like the idea of the Doctor getting his hands in there and changing history. So,
although to be fair, the thing that happened was the thing that we'd always thought had happened. So maybe history required the Doctor actually to go back and give Odysseus that idea.
That's fair. It's less changing history and more ensuring history.
Well, something to think about.
So yeah, I guess I would end up saying that this one is, not necessarily required viewing, but it was pretty fun to watch.
Required quote unquote viewing.
Quote unquote, yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, it was entertaining. I like the gimmick that like the Trojan War actually happened, and I guess the Iliad is based on historical events, but they're not quite what you might think from that. I suppose fictionalized version, and this is the real thing.
Well, we don't necessarily have like the best historical records and artifacts, and like the page at the start of the Iliad that says this is inspired by a true story. Like that page has just been lost to time. Yeah. Achilles was actually kind of a loser. Odysseus was just kind of a jerk and wanted to go home. Well, cool. All right. I do also want to note that a year or two ago, I don't remember exactly when, but fairly recently, the BBC released a box set of season 2 of Doctor Who on DVD or Blu-ray. And the trailer video that they made for the box set featured Maureen O'Brien as Vicky in it.
Yeah, I saw it. It's I think you probably sent me the link to it, to be fair.
I think actually one of our listeners sent us the link to it.
Oh, cool. Thank you, listener. But like I remember that it was filmed, I think, that year, and it's her as an old lady still in ancient Greek times as she's reminiscing, I think, to her grandkids or something like that about the Doctor. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
me too. Yeah, like her granddaughter, if I remember right, it was her and her granddaughter like walking through some gardens basically and reminiscing about these stories. Apparently Vicky's daughter was sick of these stories and didn't like them very much, but her granddaughter apparently loves them.
I love that. I'm so glad she gets to be happy, and have this family, this loving family. I don't know. I'm a chump. I'm a sucker for those things, I can say.
Yeah, so cool. You don't even have to headcanon that she lives happily ever after in Trojan times because it is actually canonical.
That's great. I love that. That's good of them to bring her back like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy to see that for sure.
Well, cool. All right. Any other notes about the Mythmakers?
Nope. I think that was it.
Cool. Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks, listeners, for the Nightmare Begins. Is that what it was? The Nightmare Begins?
Yeah, but we should do our thankses first.
Oh, yeah. Of course. But I do think I should also mention that we're going to go on a brief hiatus, a recording hiatus. It should not impact the release schedule at all for you listeners, so you shouldn't even notice. But we've built quite a bit of a backlog here. So I mean, for me at least, whenever we're like, we just watched the first episode of Dr. Picard, the first episode of Picard season 3, and by the time this comes out, it's like long over or whatever. I haven't done the math, but. Yeah, we're going to let our backlog catch up a little bit so that the things that we talk about are slightly more timely, or at least less
untimely,
far off in the past. I was trying to think of how to say that. Untimely, indeed. Okay, cool. So
by the way, viewers,
like to say the
recording date of each episode is in the episode description if you want to know how long ago we recorded these.
Or we could just tell you it's February 18th, 2023. So we would like to thank, speaking of 23, we would like to thank Circuit 23. How do you like my segue? Thank you to Circuit 23 for our theme song. We really appreciate it. If you want to check out his stuff, you can check him out on, SoundCloud and Bandcamp. He's got an album. Check him out.
Indeed.
Thank you, Kyle, for watching Doctor Who and telling me about it.
And thank you, Benny, for listening to me tell you all about Doctor Who.
And thank you, listeners, for listening to me, listening to Kyle talk about Doctor Who. We love to hear from you. You can always email us at thedoctorswatcher@gmail.com or tweet tweet Dr. Watcher. Yeah, that's what it is.
I keep thinking about starting us a Tumblr. Maybe by the time this episode comes out, I may have actually done it. Who knows? So search Tumblr for the Doctor Watcher and see if we're on there or not.
All right.
Cool.
Tell your friends. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you haven't yet. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
Each adventure made me who I am. And eventually brought me here. To my new family. In the end, our lives become stories. And in the telling of those stories in verse, song, or sculpture, we keep them alive. And good stories should live forever.
Tell me another one.
Your mother used to get tired of my stories when she was your age.
I don't.
No, you don't. Come on. Which one would you like?
The Daleks.
Again?
Tell me about Dracula and the Daleks.
All right then.
Do the voice. Do the voice.
Exterminate.